Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Joy News today. We're coming to you live from our studios in Kokomlemle. We're on DTT because we're free to air on DSTV channel 421, on DSTV channel 124, and GoTV channel 125. And around the globe is at myjoyonline.com. And also on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter at Joy News on TV. Coming up this afternoon, journalists working with Dagbon Radio in the northern region attacked during a live show by a former NDC constituency deputy communications director. We have details for you this afternoon. Also this afternoon, Electricity Company of Ghana recovers over 3 billion cedis from the recent revenue mobilization drive, with over 700 million cedis debt still in debt. And if you have been using power illegally, the ECG has a caution for you.
For free. Through the exercise, we discovered a lot of illegal connections, and there are a few of them that we will take seriously. And through this, we came up with the policy I just announced. In the case of certain customers who are deemed to be of certain pedigrees and characters, they are going to be prosecuted.
And 87 million people risk losing their jobs with the emergence of artificial intelligence, as experts confirm its enormous benefits to businesses, but warn the risk involved is also huge.
The risk here is the fact that people can simulate people's voices and faces. I could take your face and make you say anything. I could take your voice and just type. And these tools are readily available today.
And in our labor series, we shine the light on Rashid, the barber in Medina, who grooms the hair of some of the top musicians on the continent.
The relationship is very tight, especially with Davido. Whenever he's in the plane, he gives me a call, like Rashid. At this time, we should be at this hotel, Bel Air Crest. I meet him, and we just have a haircut.
And my Twitter handle is @Aisha. Please stay for details. Many thanks for choosing us. Radio show host with Dagbon Radio Sadiq Gariba has been attacked while hosting a live show. Former NDC constituency deputy communications director Hadi Pagaza stormed the studio and disrupted the program. Mr. Pagaza is captured by studio cameras holding the broadcaster by the neck and attempting to drag him out.
So Carniera fire service in Kamna. Fire service in Kamna. Aye. No,
Subhanallah. Ya attendance on now on anchu. Mpon now. Yaman wala tanyira boy.
Now
Yaman wala.
Anu so. Bo garu.
Dukula chuko on you na wala.
So ba ka garu.
Dukula chuko ne
ayamban. Phone now out for enter in a pi. Ona ma ka no 2 minutes fa. Garna. Now stupid thing. I'm pretty sure I'm sorry. Subhanallah. What's wrong with you? You mess up, man. Touch on you.
Pampantu Sambo.
You like your pulling. Nearby, you radio station. Safian Mello. Now, Sadiq has a radio station. Sadiq
Well, correspondent Martina Buguri has been explaining what transpired.
You listen to the tape, they were discussing something that has to do with the fire service. When Mr. Hadi and his counterpart walked in. When they walked in, what he asked the host was, "What have I done to you?" And then somebody in the background tries to stop Mr. Hadi. He says, "Director, it's okay." Then the host asks, "What's he going to do?" And he says that, "What do you mean, what am I going to do?" So the other guy takes on the conversation and he says, "Stop talking about him. If you want to die, stop talking about him." And so the conversation goes with, if you don't want to die, stop mentioning his name. Stop mentioning his name. And so it's basically he should stop discussing Mr. Hadi. That's all the conversation is about. And so it goes back and forth, and then they drag each other out, almost out of the studio, and then the host comes back. Now, what we are being told is that it didn't start yesterday, that Mr. Hadi Pagaza had made some comments on the Dagon chieftaincy dispute, and that the host had put it on show and a discussion was held on it. He had made some comments on the consequences that comment could have on the current peace the area was enjoying. On a different show, we are told Mr. Hadi Pagaza had rebutted, and then, so yesterday's show, when Mr. Sadiq began the show, he said he wasn't going to comment on what Mr. Hadi had said on a different show because he wasn't credible. That was the basics. And so he says that whilst they were having the show, they walked in and attacked him.
Well, the victim himself, Sadiq Garba, recounts the incident which took place on Wednesday.
I started the show. I played the tape in which he mentioned me in a sister station. So I said, no, this guy is not worth commenting on. I will not comment on his tape because he seemed not to be credible. So such people, I don't want to discuss them on my show. That was just it. And I dropped the tape and we moved on to our other topics that we planned discussing. So I was discussing with my panel. All of a sudden, I saw them move into the studio. Immediately they came straight to me to do the attack. And after the incident, I started finding out from the security why he allowed them in. And according to him, he moved to the washroom. And when he saw themselves, he thought because the guy has always come to the studio for programs. So he thought yesterday was one of those days, only for him to realize that he has moved in to do something different. We are currently at the police station. The police said he invited him, so they are waiting for him to come.
Meanwhile, issues affecting the well-being of journalists dominated discussions on the commemoration of World Press Freedom Day yesterday. Speaking on PM Express, British High Commissioner to Ghana, Harriet Thompson, challenged journalists to always do proper and thorough research before coming out with their reports, adding there's too much misinformation in the system and must be checked.
Continuing to talk about those issues that are troubling journalists, ensuring that the government really understands what it's like day to day for any journalist to get out and do their job, the challenges that they face. I think that there is a risk, I'm a civil servant myself, there's a risk that civil servants sort of talk about things that we haven't experienced. So those relationships between the different sides, the different actors in this space are absolutely crucial so that each understands the other's perspective and is able to move forward together. It's so important to have journalists who are bold and committed enough to keep going until they've uncovered the story, till they've really got to the bottom of what's going on. I would urge them to do a proper, thorough job. There's too much misinformation and disinformation out there at the moment. And really effective journalism needs to be alive to that. The UK is going to be offering some training in that space to journalists. We've done some, we'll do a bit more, because there's a risk that well-respected journalists who are committed to that moral code, committed to ethical reporting, are being misled by some of that information that's out there at the moment. So it's about being alive to the risk, it's about being bold, being committed, and knowing who to turn to when something happens that makes you feel intimidated, makes you feel like you're being restricted from doing your job.
Away from the media, out of a targeted 5.7 billion cedis debt to be collected, the Electricity Company of Ghana managed to recover 3.1 billion cedis in its recent revenue mobilization drive. The company, at a media briefing a while ago, said for some challenges, over 700 million cedis cannot be recovered despite their best effort. Managing Director of the company, Samuel Mahama, says despite what he describes as a successful exercise, ECG has a huge financial hole that must be filled.
Out of the 5.7 billion, ECG managed to recoup 3.1 billion of the 5.7 billion. Out of this 3.1 billion recouped, the balance out there that was seen was broken down into certain categories. Some companies through the time have collapsed and have left the scene with no recourse to ECG. Through this exercise, we put boots on the ground to ascertain the location of major industries that were part of our customers who provided, who we call the special load tariff customers. The number of companies that had collapsed that we cannot find, in terms of some taking the meters away, and in terms of some of them, the physical locations not present, their total bills put together is about 750 million Ghana cedis. And the last group, which is people who are postpaid customers, who through probably, we want to give the benefit of the doubt, some of them, it was true, there were demolition exercises. Some of them, some flooding, so those places are no longer existent. Some of them too, we just can't find. They've consumed, but we just can't find them. Their bills come up to about 750 million Ghana cedis.
And for those using power illegally, the Electricity Company of Ghana says you have until the end of the month to rectify the anomaly or face prosecution for power theft. Yes, Managing Director Samuel Dubik Mahama.
We also want to eliminate the issues of illegal connections. Please, this is the structure. If you know you are consuming power with no recourse to ECG, please visit our office with immediate effect. This is a moratorium. Visit our office, we will set up your account, we will set you up in the system, we will check your premises, and we will put you on a flat rate. You will continue paying such a flat rate until your meter is ready and you'll be migrated onto the meter. The moment that is done, your service is now what? Complete. Please and please come to our office, because after the date is given for the next revenue mobilization exercise to take effect, if you haven't done this, all power consumed by you is considered what? Illegal, and is considered as what? Stealing. Please, I repeat, this is a moratorium. Visit our office with immediate effect. Let's create your service line. Let's create your account. Let's put you in the system and put you on a flat rate until such a time that your meter is ready. You cannot consume power for free. Through the exercise, we discovered a lot of illegal connections, and there are a few of them that we will take seriously. And through this, we came up with the policy I just announced. In the case of certain customers who are deemed to be of certain pedigrees and characters, they are going to be prosecuted. The issue about you have already paid, or when you were caught doing the illegal connection or the bypass, you've paid, doesn't hold. You will still be what? Prosecuted. It's about time we realize that it's not a bypass and it is stealing.
Well, let's go on to the phone and speak with James Aveji, who was at the news conference. For more, James, did the ECG indicate how it intends to retrieve the outstanding 700 million?
Hello, Aisha. I could barely hear you. If you can come again.
Yes, did the ECG indicate how it intends to retrieve the outstanding debt?
Okay, so the general manager indicated that they would sustain the revenue drive or the revenue mobilization exercise. What they intend to do is to go on this drive in the last week of every month. And so they would be in their offices for 3 weeks. In the 4th week of every month, they will go around in order to collect the rest of the money. That's what they intend to do. Now, what he also added to that is that, there have been customers complaining about the late reading of meters, especially the postpaid meters. He indicated that they are putting measures in place for the distribution of bills on time so that especially persons who are actually using the postpaid meters can get their bills on time in order to pay the bills on time as well. The new thing they are doing is to also initiate what they call the reading of even the prepaid meters. From the checks, from the evidence they have gathered in this whole 1 month exercise, they have realized that most people, especially those using the prepaid meters, use the opportunity of the fact that their meters come on when they buy a power, and so most of them do the illegal connections. And so what they want to do now is to be reading the prepaid meters as well, so that they compare that to the amount of bill or amount of power you buy from time to time to determine whether the person is actually doing illegal connection at the back of the official meter on their wall. Those are all the things they put in place in order.
Go ahead, James.
In order to collect the rest of the revenue as well as check the illegality in the system.
So what happens to the next phase of the district debt collection action?
What happens to?
The next phase of the district debt collection action.
Yes, so they have not indicated exactly when they would start that. What they said was that they would use some time to reflect over the lessons they have taken on the field before they initiate that. What they intend to do now is to give, between now and when they would announce for the next stage of the exercise, for all persons who have done the illegal connections to walk into their office, declare themselves, and have their systems regularized. In fact, he gave his word to all those who have done illegal connections that if they are able to walk into their offices by themselves, he's ready to forgive them and not send them to court or surcharge them to pay for the powers they have consumed, but forgive them and regularize the system for them. What they are asking other persons to do is that if you know someone who has done illegal connections, it will be appropriate for you to step up and report the person. And so between now and when the second phase commences, they will be giving the moratorium to all persons who have done especially illegal connections to come to their office to get their systems regularized. As to when this will start, we are yet to know from the ECG.
James Aveji with those details. And on our labor series, he has crafted a niche for himself and is now regarded as one of the best in the industry. We're talking about Rashid Murray, barber based in Medina, who's the go-to hair grooming person for some A-list celebrities on the African continent. As part of our series to celebrate hard-working Ghanaians all over in our labor series, Kwekwa Sante shines light on Rashid the barber.
For many men, 3 weeks is too long a time not to see a barber. This has led to a boom in that industry in Ghana, with many young people learning that trade. This story is similar for Rashid Moro, who knew right from senior high school that this is what he wanted to do.
After school, I had some mentorship outside the country, in America and UK. So I decided to give up everything, give up the school and just follow my hustle, because that's what my heart is with. And I'm happy when I'm making people happy, making people fresh, and they're also happy with me as well. So I'm very happy. I'm very happy with the work I do.
It has paid off, and he has no regrets.
Sometimes I can have a regret small, but my mentorship, they motivate me more. Yeah, I have mentorship like Taylor Cat. He motivates me more to love the work, put in my heart, and after putting in, I've received more from the work. So I'll encourage anybody to come into this work, learn it, and you enjoy it very well.
For some of the most prominent musicians on the continent, Rashid is their go-to barber. From Burna Boy to Shatawale to Davido, the list is endless.
So I see on your wall Shatawale, Davido, Burna Boy. These are high-ranking celebrities. How did you get to be their barber?
You know, I do good work. I respect, and I also love people. And with these people, they connect me to people, and they also connect me to people, and it gets me to them by God's grace, you know. Yeah.
So I see some of them you've barbered them only sometimes twice, sometimes thrice. It means they go, they come back. Okay. Yeah. So it means they really appreciate the work you are doing. How do you sense the relationship with them so far?
The relationship is very tight, especially with Davido. Whenever he's in the plane, he gives me a call, like Rashid. At this time, we should be at this hotel, Bel Air Crest. I meet him, and we just have a haircut.
Some drivers at the Adabraka taxi rank have raised concerns about government's plan to migrate commercial drivers onto a ride-hailing app as part of its digitalization agenda. The Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Baumia, indicated that taxi drivers in the Greater Accra region will soon be transitioned onto a ride-hailing app. But some taxi drivers say government should reconsider how it will integrate taxi drivers onto the app, as some drivers find it difficult to read. My colleague Prince Owusu has been interacting with some of them.
As part of government's ongoing initiative to digitize operations of commercial vehicles, taxi drivers in the Greater Accra region will soon be transitioned to a ride-hailing app. The Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, at a conference at the Church of Pentecost of Ghana, said this initiative is as a result of complaints by some taxi drivers that their businesses were being taken over by ride-hailing companies.
Uber is taking our business, so how can you help us? So we sat down with my team and said, okay, how do we help our taxi drivers compete with the Uber drivers so that they can also be like Uber? And in the next couple of months, we will be able to place our taxis, at least in Greater Accra to start with, all on an Uber-like platform. And you'll be able to call them just like you call Ubers to your homes and all of that. It's a practical solution to a practical problem.
Meanwhile, some taxi drivers say government should reconsider how it will integrate taxi drivers onto the app, as some drivers find it difficult to use.
Move the taxi drivers to the other dimension. Then he must think of those who cannot read also. Because some of our drivers, in fact, even when they had a text messages on their phone, they can't even read. So those people, how is he going to think for them?
I think, but you know, beyond a bit a new app. No, in the Yakusku, we go on Cosco, no better, also obey. We go on Cosco, or no better, no, it may use up.
If you're a taxi driver and you think your car is very nice, to use that app, you can still use. So when that one he's bringing, I don't know where from that to, because it's like, if I have right now, the Uber people, they used to come to us. You have a taxi, which is painted yellow and this thing. When you want to use it as a Uber, you still use it, which people are using their own for. So what is that one of the vice president saying he wants to bring on board? Because the thing is there already.
Others say they prefer the traditional way of taxi operation. Prince Owusu and Says report read to you.
87 million people risk losing their jobs with the emergence of artificial intelligence. Technology is now being extensively exploited to carry out certain human functions and attributes to make life better. The deployment of machines or apps to speak or act like humans, otherwise known as artificial intelligence, is not only gaining traction for the positivity, but also for the abuse and danger it poses to individuals, business, and security systems at large. Listen to AI engineer Abigail Otikwa-Amate, who says people must not panic, but rather strive to improve upon themselves.
AI is replacing jobs, of course. going to also replace and bring about 97 million jobs. People are scared that it's going to take up their job, but it's going to replace it with more jobs. But for you to be able to reach up to that task, you have to equip yourself. You have to upgrade that stage because gone were those days that some of the work we were doing are currently outdated, and we are no longer doing that.
We apologize for the poor quality of audio, but tech consultant Kobe Spike Nkrumah says the benefits of artificial intelligence to business and industry is huge, but we must not also lose sight of the huge risk it poses.
Examples that I was giving was data entry. So you know how constantly companies need to be entering data, and we know how important data is to businesses.
Yep.
I mean, data, as we've reiterated more than enough, because the more data you have, the more you're able to make predictions, the more you're able to save on costs and certain expenses and losses. So if you are able to process data, which humans can't do as much, let's take for instance, you and I, we can fall sick. Today I have a problem with my foot. It would take me longer to get to point A or point B because of my foot. An AI system is not going to wake up tomorrow and say, I'm sick. I'm not going to wake up today and say my spouse upset me, and as a result, I come to work and it's affecting my productivity. The AI is not going to feel that way. It has no emotion whatsoever. So you have the benefit of systems that are always on, faster, would also churn out, would be able to process data absolutely, incredibly faultlessly,
or
flawlessly, without with a very little margin of error. And then you also have customer service, where AI, I'm sure by now you've probably spoken to so many chatbots without even knowing it, because they speak so much like human beings that you think that you're actually talking to a human
being.
Now, back again to the human who's been upset by their partner or their spouse in the house, comes to work very upset, is working in a call center, and somebody calls, my data is finished, and then the call center person just loses their temper and blasts this person on the line. Next thing you know, that person just takes out the SIM card and chews it and says, I'm not going to subscribe to this network again.
A trader at the Dr. Mensah Market in Kumasi has been killed in a gory motor accident Thursday morning. The 51-year-old garbage vendor known as Ekuyasewa was crushed to death when a truck loaded with second-hand clothing rammed into pedestrians at the market. Eyewitnesses say the driver of the truck with registration number GT 745211 lost control of the wheel, suspecting a brake failure. The truck ran over the woman who was plying her trade along the road, crashing into a parked taxi cab.
The mutilated body of the deceased, a resident of Antwa in the Kwabri East District, has been deposited at the morgue of Konfuanochi Teaching Hospital. An eyewitness known as Pozo narrated what he saw at the scene.
Netumi jina ye tietu ye ni na hunse wo kunipa papache nipa e wona mitumi na say baba no kunipa nipa na chase no ampa so ye kosho e no ye hunse yes nipa na da ho wona me fa rubber polythene bag black kase rubber edikata no ma no so e me wura kana so na me kokata ma no so na amafo so ye de e twa no de e ti twa no enye me fe. The said any minister, but I'm called for him, and call for winning. I'm was so was it. But I mean, the can't need action. I say, but it's no cry. Oh, yeah, no. Want to me on full and could be beer to say, my minute, my minute, no, and yet Robert Kuno, open the taxi ball. Obia Janua, till I found taxi run a ball. Now, the car between Tim and here, at the bar.
Mona Lisa Frimpon reporting.
More than 10 communities along the border with neighboring Togo in the Chereponi district of the Northeast region have been connected to the national grid for the first time since the existence. Residents of the communities say the availability of light will improve their children's education and help reduce the domestic workload on women in Northeast region. Correspondent Ilyasa Tanko has more.
Communities are Akromabila number 1 and 2, Penchi, Nandere, Ango, Kulupeni, Yogu, Akonoyile, Adibo, Nawieku, Jimbeli, and Omati. The communities are joining the national grid for the first time. Residents of the community said the absence of electricity had over the years adversely affected their social and economic lives as they have to travel long distances to access electric power services, such as charging their mobile phones and using their grinding mills. They are thankful to the MP for coming to their aid.
The time the light was not around, that time we cannot stay very well. But now that the light is available, we can stay very well and achieve what we want. And we thank Honorable Azar for helping us about the light.
Many MPs have come. We didn't see all those things. But now, he who has come on board this now is able to take care of good things in our place. And we thank him for what he has done.
I must say we count ourselves among the lucky electoral areas, except for one and maybe another, that is Andotumbu. And then Upper Onyuga may also need extension because of the growth of the community. Over 10 years now, they were connected to the national grid. So some upgradement will be needed around the Onyuga area. But that of Andotumbu will need a new project altogether. So these are the few areas that are still of concern to me and the community.
Extension of electricity to these hard-to-reach communities has been under the auspices of the Member of Parliament, the Honorable Tahidu Abdulrazak, who has over the past week been commissioning the project for the residents. Speaking to Joy News, the Member of Parliament expressed joy that he was able to fulfill a campaign promise he made to the people, adding that he hoped to do more and call for their continued support.
We going around since yesterday to fulfill some of our promises that were made during the 2020 elections, especially the needs of the community, which is in regard to electricity. Let me take it from this level. When I was this year, I connected 30. And then as MP in my second year, I've connected 12. Or third year, I've connected 12 and hope to add more. Yes, I need about 20 or 15 communities more to be hooked to the national grid. In all, we have 182 communities in the district. And then as we speak, if not maybe 100 plus have been connected by now, I can boast of 100 communities or above for now.
At Yogo, one of the at-risk communities on the border with Togo, the chief expressed strong concern about the activities of armed terrorist groups across the border in the neighboring country. He bemoaned the absence of state security and the lack of social infrastructure in the area and called for the extension of security patrols to the community. The MP in response said the chief's concern was legitimate and well received.
I share their sentiment and share their feeling because they are the only last community closer to the Togo. But then my DC was not able to make it up today. And as we return to the district level, I will engage her and the dissect and see how we get more security. But on a serious note, you can see that the custom officers have their structure there. They were waiting for the light. And today that we have gotten them the light, I know by next week onwards, the customs will go and then the immigrations will move there as well.
The Chereponi constituency is witnessing an appreciable level of development, mostly spearheaded by local authorities and donor partners. Armed conflict linked to land and chieftaincy have held back investment into capital projects in the constituency by the central government. The Member of Parliament has therefore appealed to the people in the constituency to embrace peace and live in harmony for development and progress.
My constituency has to do with peace. If we embrace and love peace, we'll be able to develop more. But without peace, we can't grow, we can't develop.
Of the Harlem Tourism Board in New York, Richard Cox, has indicated that African Americans need to be educated on their roots, which could be traced to the northern regions of Ghana. We'll bring you details of that shortly in business.
Hello, good afternoon. Let's do business now. I am Beverly Broom. Vice President of the Harlem Tourism Board in New York, Richard Cox, has indicated that African Americans need to be educated on their roots, which could be traced to the northern regions of Ghana. He said most people from the diaspora have no idea their connections with northern Ghana. Therefore, they need to recall this history to the rest of the world. Richard Cox said this at the launch of the Cultural Oneness Festival in Tamale, organized by the Taste of Africa in collaboration with the Ghana Tourism Authority and Harlem Tourism Board.
The maiden edition of the Cultural Oneness Festival, which will be held in Tamale in late November, is expected to tell the untold stories of the North. Even though the northern regions of Ghana have lots of history about the slave trade, little has been said about the area over the years. With this event coming up, the people of the area see this as an opportunity to open the northern regions of Ghana to the diaspora and to harness the economic potentials of the area. Speaking to the media during the launch, Vice President of the Harlem Tourism Board in New York, Richard Cox, said there was the need to educate the people from the diaspora of their origin.
First thing is that we have to take a look at the historical aspect, because we need to be educated about where we came from. What is our roots? What is our origin? Unfortunately, when most of us do travel to Ghana, we only travel to Accra. And like some people have already mentioned, Accra was the exit point for the slave trade. What are the exit points? But we need to come to the northern region where our roots were, where the journey began, where life began, and where the struggle began.
Co-founder of the Taste of Africa, Marvin Christopher Glenn, on his part, said one thing that connects the world is music and culture. Therefore, these, among others, will be used to woo the visitors.
You're right. One of the things that connects us all is music and entertainment. You know, around the world, we all dance to the same drum, right? And so that's where the music and the arts comes together. Of course, this has to be entertaining. This has to make people want to come and have a good time. But then we can infuse the information, and we can infuse, how to grow agribusiness, and we can attract investors to the northern region of Ghana to invest, private investors that can help, and we can help each other. It's time for us to do business at home. So we look at it as a point to connect each other.
The Northern Regional Minister in his welcome address said this is an economic opportunity open to the people of the area.
Cultural tourism is a significant source of revenue, and events like this will help promote our region as a cultural destination and provide an opportunity for our local artisans, craftsmen, and artists to showcase their talent and promote their products in line with government tourism objectives.
One of Northern Ghana's finest musicians, Fancy Garden, reacting to the event, said this is the first time such an event will be held up north, and said they were ready to nail it.
Because they've been doing this in Accra, this is the first time they are bringing it here. So we are very happy to have this in the northern area. What are your expectations? Yeah, we are just something nice, because we've been seeing what they are doing over there in Accra. And then, when you talk about culture, we are the culture. So, especially, in the north, we have the richest culture in Ghana. So, we are going to deliver very well. So, we'll make something good.
So for business this afternoon, we have more business on Marketplace at 1 p.m. and also on myjoyonline.com/business. I'm Beverly Broom.
Welcome to the sports segment. My name is Haruna Mubarak. Now, 17 days left for the start of the Waffle Zone B Girls U20 tournament, which will be staged in Kumasi. The Black Princesses have been in camp for about a month, intensifying training for the upcoming event. The U20 side face Benin and Ivory Coast in Group A, and head coach Yusuf Baziki says they will not disappoint Ghanaians.
You want to perform. Not expected. You should put pressure on. And I enjoy working under pressure. That is even very good. Because one, think of not disappointing Ghanaians. You think of living up to expectations. So that's why initially I said I have to set a target for myself. Even without FA telling me this is your target. I have already set the target since we were tasked to host the tournament. So that I'll work by that. And that is what is going to edge me on to work very hard. So for that one, yes, pressure is part of the game. However, that pressure will not overcome what I'm supposed to do. I'll use it as a guide to work towards achieving our target. This time round, I'll say that all the countries are doing well. You can't underrate or underestimate. So, in as much as we all know Ghanaians, we have the talent, there's more to it than that. For me, I don't look at it from that angle. I look at it from players with character, players with insight, so that with them you can achieve. If you look at excuse me to say, they are training horses. You see them at training, they are perfect. You use them at tension matches or crucial matches, they will disappoint you. So for me,
That's the latest in the world of sports. My name is Haruna Mubarak.
Time now for Showbiz, and former chairman of the New Patriotic Party, Freddie Blay, has advised that music industry players must put in strategies to promote their craft to the world. Speaking to Joy News, Freddie believes the industry has a lot to offer and must be given all the necessary attention and support it needs.
Definitely, it is not a question of politicians doing the industry players. The activists, those who are involved in it, entertainers themselves, they must take control of what they are doing. They must sell what they are doing. They must enjoy it and invite Ghanaians to participate. It is not the fiat of a politician that will build the industry. Politicians will create the environment. Politicians shouldn't smother music and culture. They must encourage it, create the atmosphere for it. But at the end of the day, the players, the key players, the entertainers themselves, the artists themselves, and you, the media, should together help to bring up the industry. The industry has a lot to offer in terms of reaping the economics of it, in terms of making people make money out of it. In Ghana particularly, we have a lot to offer. If we are not careful, Nigeria is taking over. And we are loving Nigerian music more than the Ghanaian music. We need to do more. But it's not the politician alone. We all, as a society, should do so and sell what we have. After all, it is culture. And culture is the totality of our life. And music is a key part of it. I love music. If I had the opportunity, I will contribute towards uplifting music.
Dancehall Artist episode has revealed his plans of bringing back the spotlight on the high life genre According to the Atia hitmaker, high life is the sound of the future and must be protected at all costs.
Well, after Atia, I slowed a bit. Now I'm trying to go back into time to dip into our indigenous sound, and that's what I'm doing right now. So you'll be hearing more of those sounds, which has a bit of the contemporary vibe on it, you know. So for me, it's just trying to pay reference to some people that we haven't really celebrated in high life yet. So when you hear the sound, definitely it takes you back to the old 60s, and that's what I'm doing. I love it.
But what necessitated that?
Well, it's growth. It's growth. The episode you knew 2015 is not an episode now, you know, and I feel like our sound is the sound of the future. So let me start it.
How is that going?
Amazing. Like my new song of Bra, featuring Sancho Fee, is doing crazy. And because it was recorded live, you can actually feel that vibe, you know. So, yo, watch out.
And that's it for Showbiz. That'll be it also for the bulletin this afternoon. Log on to myjournline.com for more news and updates of all the developing stories. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Do enjoy the rest of our programs.